My dear children, this is the explanation video of the story for Standard 9, Hearts and Hands, written by O. Henry. So, everyone, keep your book with you, and I'll read the lines and then I will give you the explanation. So, I want all of you get ready with the book, and wherever needed, every time I tell wherever needed, you just write. If any points you find correctly, you write that, and also you write the meaning from the workbook. In glossary, the difficult words meanings are given. I have also written, I'll tell you while explaining, and please listen very carefully. So let's begin the story. You, when I'll read, you also see your book. At Denver, there was an influx of passengers into the coaches on the eastbound B&M Express. So, see the first line. B&M Express is the name of a train and it is going to east. Denver is the name of the station. Now see influx of passengers that I have written here. You see many passengers got onto the train. Influx of passengers is many passengers. So they got on to the train. In one coach there sat a very pretty young woman. Who is that young woman? Miss Fairchild. Because already I told you the characters. Miss Fairchild is that we will come to know. Pretty young woman dressed in elegant test, that is stylish, very stylish, and surrounded by all the luxurious comforts of an experienced traveler. So what it is said, one pretty woman, what I said, she is Miss Fairchild, and she is well dressed. She is means very stylish, she is, and she is coming from a wealthy family and is a frequent traveler. She is a frequent traveler. Among the newcomers were two young men, one of handsome presence with a bold, frank countenance and manner, the other a ruffled, glum-faced person, heavily built and roughly dressed. So what it is said that among, from there what it is said, two young men, one of them was handsome, looked quite confident and easygoing. Another one looked untidy and he seemed to be serious, very gloomy faced, and he was stout and roughly dressed. These two men were there on the train. They just got onto the train. So you see here I wrote the meaning. You will get the meanings in your workbook also. It is written about the first person. What I explained about the first person, he was handsome and he looked quite confident and easygoing. It is written, young man, handsome, presence with bold, frank countenance and manner. That is why I said easygoing. And countenance meaning is face. His face is very frank face. That is, he is a easygoing kind person. And the other a ruffled, glum-faced person. Ruffled is upset. Glum-faced is means gloomy. So what I explained you, that he is untidy and he seemed to be serious, is very upset or serious, we can say, gloomy faced, and he was a stout and roughly dressed person. Heavily built, roughly dressed. The two were handcuffed together. So two were handcuffed. It means one of them was the criminal and one was police officer. From this part we can understand that the two were handcuffed together means one must be the criminal and one is the police officer. So here next, see, as they passed down the aisle of the coach, aisle is the passage of the coach, the only vacant seat offered was a reversed one facing the attractive young woman. So these two persons, when they got onto the train, they did not have any option. They had no option, so they had to sit opposite to the pretty lady, that is Miss Fairchild. Now see, here the linked couple seated themselves. So they sat there just opposite to that attractive young woman, that pretty woman, Miss Fairchild. The young woman glance fell upon them with a distant, swift disinterest. Then, with a lovely smile brightening her countenance and a tender pink tinging her rounded cheeks, she held out a little grey gloved hand. So, first the young woman gave them a very cool and casual glance. But immediately her face changed. She smiled beautifully, and in fact, she even started to blushing, which was evident that she was very happy to see one of them. And because of that, she held out her hand. So, hope you all understood these lines. Next, when she spoke, her voice, full, sweet, and deliberate, proclaimed that its owner was accustomed to speak and be heard. So, it means when she spoke confidently and she had a very sweet voice. She knew that when she speaks, people will acknowledge her and they will listen to her. This is the meaning of this line. Coming to the next. Well, Mr. Easton, if you will make me speak first, I suppose I must. Don't you ever recognize old friends when you meet them in the West? So, right now they are in the West and traveling eastwards. She addresses Mr. Easton. You were not speaking to me at first. She starts telling you were not speaking to me at first. Maybe you are waiting for me to acknowledge you. It doesn't matter if you make me speak first. It's fine, she said like that. But don't you recognize me after all? We are old friends. She is telling that it is said that don't you ever recognize old friends? That means you are my old friend. So I hope you recognized me. So she said that, but don't you recognize me? Because we are old friend. The younger man roused himself sharply at the sound of her voice. So then what happened? The younger man roused himself sharply at the sound of her voice. So which means that that man, he had not noticed her before and now he became very much alarmed, roused himself. Means first when they were sitting opposite to her, that person who actually knew Miss Fairchild did not notice her. But when he noticed her, he became very much alarmed, roused himself. That's why written, roused himself sharply. Seemed to struggle with a slight embarrassment, which he threw off instantly and then clasped her fingers with his left hand. So first, means he was slightly flustered, but immediately means he was slightly feeling awkward. But immediately what he did, he recognized his voice and he took her hand and gave a shake with left hand. Remember that. It's Miss Fairchild, he said with a smile. I'll ask you to excuse the other hand. It's otherwise engaged just at present. Because when he recognized and he shook the hand, that was his left hand. So he then said, yes, it is Miss Fairchild. And excuse me, as I am shaking with my left hand, as my right hand is engaged at that moment. That he said, that Mr. Easton said. He slightly raised his right hand, bound at the wrist by the shining bracelet. Bracelet is here handcuff. So he showed that his right hand is engaged because it was handcuffed. That means it is written bracelet. That means it was handcuffed. Then you see what happened. The glad look in the girl's eyes slowly changed to a bewildered horror. Means the girl became that pretty girl, that pretty woman. She became very confused. The girl had been very happy first to see him. But the moment she saw the handcuff, immediately her expression changed. She was totally confused now. And especially she could never have expected that she was traveling on a train and is just in front of him a criminal seated. So she was coming from a wealthy family. She, from the beginning part of the story only, we came to know that she was from a wealthy family. She was stylish and she was a dignified lady. And first of all, when she saw his known old friend, her old known friend, she was very happy. She was excited. She shared her greetings. But the moment she saw this handcuff, she was very confused, and she could not have imagined even that she was sitting with a criminal just in front of him, in front of her. Yeah, then the glow faded from her cheeks. Her lips parted in vague, relaxing distress. So this only I said. Then next, Easton, with a little laugh, as if amused, was about to speak again when the other forestalled him. So then what happened? When Mr. Easton saw Miss Fairchild's reaction, that she saw the handcuff and she was horrified, she was confused, he knew that he is going to be embarrassed now. So he gave a little laugh as if he was amused. But the reality was he must have been feeling very nervous and helpless. He was about to speak, but the police officer spoke before him. That is only written here, you see, about to speak again when the other forestalled him. Means the moment he started saying, maybe he wanted to give some explanation or something, and that moment that police officer spoke before him. You see, the glum-faced man had been watching the girl's countenance with veiled glances from his keen, shrewd eyes. So the police officer was very clever and sharp. Already the moment she started to speak to Mr. Easton, he examined Miss Fairchild's expression. Means when this Mr. Easton and Miss Fairchild was talking, then this man, this police officer, he was very clever. He was noticing the expression of the pretty woman. So this much. Next video, this will take little lengthy explanation. So next video I'll come up with the next part of the explanation.